everyone, and welcome to my craft room. I thought I'd take just a minute this morning and show you around my craft room. Actually, my husband overheard the paper tray ink team doing their videos about A Faire, so I thought I would just give you a quick tour myself and show you around my stamp room. So here I am this morning with my cup of tea, which you'll usually find me having in my stamp room. It's always one right here. And I'm actually planning on using tea later for one of the challenges to do tea dye, so I can't wait to try that. Over here is where I spend most of my time. Of course, I have my iPad handy. I always joke with my husband, says I carry all my friends with me, and I do. I love my iPad. And then back here I keep all my adhesives. I love the score tape or the slip glam tape. I use it all the time, and all my different foam tape and pop dots and what have you. And then down here is my extra adhesives that you might need for doing different things, metals and what have you, or fabric. So those are all here. And then this is where I actually stamp. I found that to use a heating tool on countertop isn't the greatest idea. Countertops burn, at least just regular countertops burn. So my husband got me a piece of marble cut to just a little bit bigger than my stamping pad, and I can easily remove that and not have to worry about heating on that. It works absolutely great. And then I kind of just keep everything around what I use all the time, my Copic marker chart and some punches and my stamps that I'm currently working with. Up here on the wall is all of my paper tray ink buttons by colors. I just love them. I have a container for every single color, as well as my ribbon, and I have 2 of these units, so it tends to work really well. And then the bottom shelf, I keep all of my paper tray ink, cube dies, as well as I have the full-size white, because white is just a go-to for me. I just love it. And then the zings that I use. I tend to only use clear and white embossing powder because I find that I like to stamp in color and then emboss with clear, and the clear shows up with whatever color you stamp with anyway, so that just works for me. And then here in this drawer is where I keep my stamp blocks, and my browns and black, kind of the inks that I grab all the time are here as well. Okay, over here is where I keep all my tools. I love my my movable tray for these, or container for these. I like everything where I can see it, because then I use it when I can see it. Here in these drawers are my extra kind of supplies, odds and ends that you don't know where to put. And then in this drawer is where I keep all of my current 6x6 pads and all of my paper tray ink 8x8 pads. I love having them where I can just reach for them and see what colors coordinate, as well as my Copic markers. And I just keep my Copic markers in jars based by color family, and I love that you can either grab the whole color family, or it's easy to see colors that coordinate. So that's how I store those. Up here on my counter is where I keep my smaller cutting tools. I have a small guillotine cutter, which I love. I tend to use it a lot, especially when I'm straightening up my scraps. And I keep a basket of all my current scraps here, and when the basket gets full, I cut them down, either put them away or throw them away, because I don't like keeping a lot of stuff that's not going to get used, or I don't like a lot of clutter. So that's where I keep my paper scraps. Here is how I keep my washi tape. Now, I've outgrown this method already, but I thought one dowel would be enough for my washi tape, but as you can see, it's spilling off the edges and off the shelf, so we'll have to think about that a little bit more. And then over in this corner is my die storage. My husband and I built this frame, and it's a big magnet, and I love just all of my kind of go-to dies. And the dies that I started with I thought would fit there, but I've outgrown that, and now my die storage has moved to this big binder, which is nice because it can close up, and when I go to my girlfriend's house to stamp, I can take most of my dies right along with me, or all of my dies if I want to. And then I have them based by either collection, or if they're flowers, or by stamp set, whatever. There's a couple of different ways in here depending on manufacturer, but that's how I keep my dies right now. And then my go-to cutting tool is my Vagabond. I just love the push button. You don't have to crank anything, and it's been working really, really well. I really like that. Here in the middle of my room is my cutting table, and I use this when I'm sewing as well, so I try to keep it as clutter-free as possible, but it has the big cutting mat. It has some drawers where I keep my cutting tools in it, my hand cutting tools, and my patterns. And then on top of here, when I'm scrapping, which I do most of the time, I keep my big cutter, which is a purple cow cutter, rotary cutter, which works great because you can cut more than one sheet of paper at a time. So I tend to do several pieces of white or off-white or craft cardstock, so I have them all cut down to the perfect card front size. And then right next to that I keep my score pal because that pretty much gets used on every card. And then in this basket here, these are swaps where we exchange card kits, which is wonderful because I have one open right now in the Paper Tray Ink forum, but you get to try a little bit of everything where maybe you can't get absolutely everything, but you wanted to try something, and this is a great way to try things, and then you can decide if it's something that you really need. Unfortunately, most of the time, you really, really need it. But there have been some really cute card kits put together by all of my friends at Paper Tray Ink. And then back behind me here is where I keep some extras in these drawers. This left side here at the top are all of my punches, which are organized by if they're small, square, or long punches, and I just kind of have a tendency to know where those things are, luckily. I really like those. Dies have kind of replaced those, and dies are much easier to store. I can't even imagine if I had to store all of my punches to go with all, in place of all the smaller, thinner dies. Down here is a drawer of all different sizes of envelopes, because I love having matching envelopes and stamping on envelopes to match my cards. And then the bottom drawer, bottom areas are just some extras, extra cutter, extra ink for my printer, and the very bottom drawer is all of my extra adhesive because I do not like running out of adhesive. Living in central Pennsylvania, there's not scrap stores close that carry, well, there's really no scrap stores, so you have no choice but to order it or to drive an hour to get anything, so that's where I keep all of that stuff. Over here, some extra dyes, extra ribbon, and all of my glitter and my crackle paints and just things like that go here. And then underneath is all of my Paper Tray Ink cardstock colors, as well as some of the 8.5 by 11 pattern paper that doesn't fit with my other pattern paper. Goes in these containers. And then down below is actually my bling drawers. I have these square drawers that are just full of fun bling, which no matter how much you have, you never have enough because you can never find the right spot. And I pretty much exclusively use Paper Tray Ink cardstock as my go-to cardstock. I love how it blends with Copic, so I keep a few extra packs of that on hand. Okay, over here is probably my favorite part of my craft room. This table my husband and I picked up at a garage sale, yard sale actually. Refinished it, painted it white, and put on these cute little pink knobs to match the rest of my craft room. And this became my sewing table. And then here's my sewing machine, and I made the cover for that, and my serger. And then behind here is just I think this is an apothecary drawer, but it has a whole mess of little drawers, and I keep all of my extra sewing notions in there. It's kind of hard to, I've been thinking about a way to label that to know what's in there, so I don't use them all, but I kind of like the look of it, so it's there. And then I really like dress forms, so kind of started a little collection of dress forms. I made this one in the middle, which you can see has Paper Tray Ink things on it that I've made there, and there's another one back here. And then I have a big dress form in the corner, but my latest and greatest addition is my dress form here, which my husband picked up at a yard sale, which I just bought because it's fabric covered. And what I plan on doing with that is actually displaying my cards on it with just a little pin, so they're kind of out to see and hopefully get used. And then this, my husband and I actually made the bookshelf as well. And I keep all of my fabric fat quarters here. and all my little sewing kind of things. I love just picking up pieces of fabric because you never know when you're going to need some fabric for a project. My knits are in here. My tags and doilies are all in here. My extra blocks are in here. So everything's kind of, I know where everything is, but it's by boxes. And then I keep my most current cards I've made on display here. And behind them are apothecary jars with extra embellishments and my clothespins and things like that. I like to see things, so I like to have them out. And then I keep my extra cards or cards that are already made in these boxes down here, so I have plenty to mail when I need them. And then my Cricut is housed down here as well. And then over here, this is where I keep this shelf free for taking photographs of my current cards. I just have a doily, and I have a couple of extra doilies and color things that I can use to put on display when I'm going to take pictures. But this is where I take my pictures, and I have an extra light because I find that having some direct light keeps my photos from getting yellow, so that's kind of what works for me. And then I also keep my paints on this shelf and my paint brushes and things like that, my Mod Podge, and kind of the messy stuff goes here. And that's pretty much the tour around my scrap room. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with this year's Stamp A Faire project. Hope you join us. Bye.